Hi, friends. Can you believe it's April already? Easter is quickly approaching, and yet somehow it feels like just yesterday we were celebrating Christmas. I'm thankful for spring, and yet I realize that it'll be a while before it is consistently warm. But it's encouraging to know that the cold days are becoming fewer and farther between. Last week, I mentioned that Jesus says some challenging and downright unreasonable things. One example is in Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 and 44, where Jesus says, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." If there were a world record for easier said than done, this statement would win for sure. Now, if Jesus has said, "Don't kill your enemies," or "Ignore your enemies and don't let them get under your skin," or "Pity your enemies," or even "Tolerate your enemies," that would seem reasonable. But love your enemies? That just doesn't feel realistic. There's no getting around it, though. Jesus said it. There's no ambiguity in the Greek. There's no historical context that softens it even a little. In fact, the historical context makes it even sharper. Jesus was talking to people who lived under the occupying army of Rome. Roman soldiers and prefects did not hesitate to use brutal force to remind the people of who was in charge. So when the people who were listening to Jesus heard enemy, they didn't think of the guy at work who kept stealing their lunch, or the woman in traffic who cut them off on the commute. They thought about soldiers, those who posed a threat to their very lives. And that's whom Jesus says to love. Why? Why should we love our enemies? Well, one reason is given by John in his first letter. He says, "Whoever does not love does not know God, for God is love." Our love is a sign of our knowledge of and connection with God. Another reason, and this is a different way to look at it, is that love destroys our enemies, not by the exertion of power, but by the extension of peace. Aggression, violence, and war do not destroy enemies. In fact, they perpetually create new ones. Love and peace destroy enemies by not labeling them as such in the first place. When you think about it, only we have the power to make someone into an enemy. Now, we cannot control whether someone hurts us or hates us or chooses to view us as an enemy. But no one can force us to view someone else as our enemy. Love changes our view. It enables us to see those who cause harm or destruction as fellow, broken, hurting, selfish human beings in need of forgiveness, rather than as demons who need to be destroyed. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote in his book, Strength to Love, "Love, even for our enemies, is the key to the solution of the problems of our world. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. We never get rid of an enemy by meeting hate with hate. We get rid of an enemy by getting rid of enmity." It's not easy, that's for sure. But it can be done. Jesus, Martin Luther King Jr., and countless others have demonstrated that unconditional forgiveness and sacrificial love have the power to destroy enemies, not by changing them, but by changing us. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again next week.